Welcome. You've tuned into the Janey Mac Has Your Back podcast, brought to you by Agachelle.
Good choice. Now go grab your favorite beverage, go for a walk, or pretend you're working and keep smiling away at your boss as we dive into conversations about things that matter.
Or not. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Janey Mac Has Your Back. Hope everybody is doing well. And Aga, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Just getting used to the temperatures, getting colder. It's fall, and we haven't gotten together in quite a while, so I'm excited. I'm excited for this episode, but I'm also excited to have gotten together with you again. Hello, everyone.
I know, me too. I know you've been really busy studying more on the coaching and just teaching, and I've been doing lots as well at work and just personally. But we're so prepared, right? Because we had a few extra ones recorded, so we knew we were coming through a busy stage,
Yes.
and super excited because we're now on YouTube. Spotify and Amazon Music. There was another one I tried to get us on, but it ended up being a bit like YouTube. It's a bit of a mind meld because it's an audio one and it's a bit trickier, but I did it. It's out there. Have a listen. Who knows?
You're amazing. And please, you take all the credit because I haven't been involved in setting up all those platforms. And when you just said mind meld, it reminded me of when I put up my started my YouTube channel. It's like always, you figured out stuff before, but it seems like all of those platforms have their own way of being. And you'll think you had set up something, and then it seems like, oh no. And so, Michelle, I take my hat off. You're amazing.
I don't know, constantly, even like the pictures and all. So when you look at something and you can hear the recording, it wasn't looking. I had changed them a bit. And I was like, why is it showing the old one? Anyway, I think it's showing the new one now, the most up-to-date one. But look, it doesn't matter. It's the conversation in the background and not the picture.
Exactly. And today, our conversation is going to be all around this amazing topic, an interesting topic of friendship.
Yes.
Yeah.
The intricacies of it, the highs and lows, because it's like any relationship, there's highs and lows as well, right? And the song it's kind of based on is, and thank you, Aga, for letting me share this, because I did choose the song. It is Best Friend by Brandy. And it just reminded me of when I was younger and I used to sing this song. It's the Brandy is talking about her sisterhood when she talks in the song about it. But as we've seen before, like on our last one with Lenny Kravitz, it can be an interpretation, like a poem of what you take out of the song. And my brother definitely did take something out of the song. He when she sings "You're my sister" and "Always for me," he'd be like, "You're talking about me, Michelle. Thanks." And I was like,
So sweet.
yes, okay, I am talking about you. You're my friend too. I'm my brother. So yeah, I am your sister. Very literally, but and always afterwards, I always thought when I sing that song, I would think of my brother always, and still to this day. He was young then, right? He was quite young. There's 5.5 years between us. So you'd only be like, you wouldn't have even been a teenager at that stage, maybe 9, 10. And I was singing it kind of from 15, 16. I'm actually a very similar age to Brandy. So yeah, she would have been also the same age as me, recording the song. I can't even imagine that at 16. I would have loved to be doing that at 16. But yeah, so that's where the song is at and coming from. And it's also like, yeah, like I just mentioned there, my brother, I would consider a friend. I live in England and at the minute, and my brother is back home in Ireland, and we still talk. He has literally been texting me today. We talk on WhatsApp all the time. He rings me. So I think it's quite nice because I know a lot of people out there aren't that close to their family, which kind of makes me sad in a way.
You just touched upon like I was really to let our listeners in, we had recorded a friendship episode and we lost it. And it's like
And,
the sock that you lose in the washing machine. You know, it's there, but it's gone.
look, let's be
And
honest. We didn't lose it. I lost it.
well, we lost it.
Oh,
And
you're so kind. But let's
and the
be
thing
honest.
is, it's like that sock, like it should be somewhere. But
Oh, the
I know
leprechauns
that
have taken it, or the little fairies. You know when you have matching socks, and
exactly,
they just go, and you're like, "Who's doing that?" I swear to God,
exactly.
I had them like 5 minutes ago.
But I remember that the last time we recorded, the conversation went in a different direction. And now that I heard you talking, I was like, it's so interesting the way I like what came to my mind is like it's really beautiful when your sibling or siblings are your friends. Because I was just thinking of my brother, and I was like, true, my brother is a friend too. I mean,
Mm.
he's not as keen on texting, but I know that he's there, and they're just like moments that I totally connect to my brother, or songs. And when we get together, it's like just one word, and we both burst into laughter. And I just find it so beautiful. I'm seeing it with my nieces as well. When parents are able to cultivate that children are friends, you know, like when your siblings count to your circle of friends, that's amazing. And um so what are the qualities, what for you are the qualities where you would say that is when I consider someone a friend? Are there like, yeah, what makes a friend, and how has it changed over the years, maybe, or over the decades, your view and expectation on friendship?
Interesting. So just before I get into that, into your question, I was just going to say as well, I think, you know, when your brother or your sister is like your friend as well, when they've no problem with you going out for a cup of tea or a few drinks in the pub or wherever for a meal with their friends. You know, when
Mm.
they're younger and they're like, oh no, you're not coming out. But you know, he still goes to my mum, you're not sitting with me in the pub, but I'll get but Michelle can.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think you know then that it's like, oh right, okay, okay. But yeah, the qualities of a friend and how they've changed over the years. So, and it definitely has for me changed. I think before it was a bit, you know, if you don't hear from people, or it could be like a year or whatever, and then when you get together, it's like as if you were just friends all the time. For me, that kind of felt okay. But actually, as I got older, I kind of feel, and you start to go through more of the adult things in life.
Mm.
Um, it kind of feels like, yeah, you would probably like to get a bit of more of a response or a bit more interaction than maybe once a year. Or and look, everybody has so much going on in their life, and sometimes it's hard to keep up those relationships that maybe you just feel aren't worth it anymore, or you just don't have time for it. Might be as simple as that. But for me, I think it's the ones that, for me, it's important that even if you don't speak in a while, it's the ones that kind of think about you randomly, right? And go, oh my God, I forgot to ask.
Mhm.
Like, for example, which I have done actually, popped into my head. I'll ask you afterwards. I'm going to leave you in suspense of what that question is. Yeah.
Ooh.
Um, but uh, yeah, I'm just thinking, oh, how are you doing? Or, you know, how's Michelle? You know, you have recently asked me, I don't mind sharing, how's your IVF journey going? You know, because I'm literally in the middle of it, right?
Mm.
And it's those things that are important. It's those random thoughts, or um, I think that's an important quality as well. Just and feeling okay to do that, or just say, oh God, I'm so sorry that I haven't been in touch, or I don't need a sorry. The fact that you've just kind of randomly got in touch is great. But also I think that it's almost like that unconditional love that you are like this unique person. I definitely am. I've
Mhm.
got my intricacies, and I just want a I'd love people to just understand that. And you know what? If I'm not for you, then that's fine. Please tell me, rather than this kind of, because I'm a worrier and a thinker, and I overthink everything. And I think I've learned not to. I don't think as before. I would have been as open about that. But I think it's important. I think as well as you get older, you might be more pickier about the friends you have. You're not as like, oh, I need a friend, or kind of. I
Yeah.
don't think I was ever like that, I don't think I was ever. I was very shy when I was younger. I liked my own little world. My granny would call me quietly confident, and I didn't have
Mhm.
many friends, and I still don't have many friends. But I kind of feel that's I don't think I'd be able to cope with lots of friends.
Mm.
Which sounds crazy, but I don't know if I've answered your question, but I think I've kind of delved more into, I think my expectations become a little more, and I think I've put myself more a little bit as I've gotten older. And I do believe that actually, depending on your goals and what you want to achieve in life, your friends probably will change because, you know, your ambitions grow. For me, my ambitions have grown, and having it is so true. I know it's so cliche, but having the like-minded people around you and that support you, I think, is quite important. How about you?
Mhm. Well, in my case, I'm just going to say I am a recovering or retired people pleaser. And if I think back over the last decade, so when I was a kid, I would just take anyone into my circle who wanted to be my friend because I just desperately wanted friends. Um I've been the last one to be chosen on the basketball team. I know how that feels.
Mm,
And then I just learned to befriend people who are actually not necessarily healthy for me or for my growth. And it's something that I've had to really forgive myself for because even as a young adult and up to my 30s, I can still say that I was choosing people for whom I may have been good or my company because I naturally tend to uplift people, and I also naturally tend to go with what people like, know what people need, what they want, and just please. I mean, I'm not going to even embellish that. It's just straight up. I mean, I'm a pleaser, or I've been a pleaser in the past. And it's not up until the pandemic hit, and then um I was living far enough away from many people so that all the favors they may have needed from me, that wasn't like um there anymore. I didn't have those obligations. And then when I started the coaching journey, that's when I started saying, oh wow, there is, I mean, I have friends who you also know where I would say they've been friends for decades, but the majority of people around me have been more like taking and not necessarily seeing me for who I am, but liking me for what I do. So it's been more about doing than just being around. And then with the coaching, like I'm meeting people who I can really say like it's the mutual taking care of. That's something that I didn't have when I was an adult, a young adult. I would be also around people who would make fun of me in my presence, you know? Or I was, let's just be blunt. I was the fat friend who was always there when my thin friend wanted to flirt with someone because, hey, who's going to look at me, you know? So those were not friendships. Those were not people
no.
like promoting me to be or supporting me to be who I am. And it's now in the last 5 years where there's been a shift where I'm like, oh, wow, I'm so glad I got rid of some of those. And I'm now really tasting the quality of real friendships apart from, yes, some people who've always been friends.
Yeah. It's so interesting because you've reminded me of something and this is like when I was in primary school, what we call in Ireland, which would be like the ages of 4 or 5 to 12-ish. And I had this group of friends. They were quite boisterous, two of them, very opinionated. One was the clear leader. Um, they started bullying one of the girls in the group who was very similar to me, actually. And I look back and I think, Janey Mac, Janey Mac.
Mm.
I was so quiet. I didn't really stand up for that person. Was it my responsibility? Perhaps not, but still, I allowed that behavior, and I kind of was like, and in my head, I was like, I don't know if I want to be friends with these people. And you know what started to happen? That girl ended up not being in the group, because obviously, why would you stay in that? But
Yeah.
they started doing it to me. So I was like, oh, now they've decided that they want to target me. And I think at that point for me, I was like, yeah, I'm not bothered. Like, you're not doing it to me. I don't need to be, like, I don't want to be your friend. And as it turns out, then we actually went to different secondary schools, higher level school from 13 onwards. So it turned out I was never going to have them anyway in my life. It naturally kind of, but it's so true. Like, especially if you're like ourselves, which we're sensitive people. Um, I wanted to get that in there because your YouTube channel, you might as well promote it, is Highly Sensitive Planet for us
Yeah.
sensitive, yeah, for our sensitive souls. And yeah, shy, but I think quietly confident in me is that, actually, do I want that type of person in my life? And even then, I guess I
Mhm.
had that in my head that, it's, but you wanted to be liked in a way, right? You wanted to that people pleasing thing, which I have taken all the way up into my adult life and still into my 40s. And for me,
Yeah.
caring too much about what people think, like,
Mm.
I only have to please myself. I am going to counseling at the minute. Again, I don't mind sharing. And she said something to me. She goes, ask yourself this question. And I'd like everybody to think of this as well that's listening. Is that my responsibility? Is it my responsibility to take on that person's emotions or their opinions? Is it my responsibility to do that for that person? It's almost like my other half says, right? I failed
Yeah.
to see how he does it in a bit of a harsher way. I failed to see how that's my problem.
I
But
love that. I fail to see how that is my problem. And I'm now just thinking of so many moments where people were like, okay, you need to jump in. The babysitter has just let me down. Um, you need to help this person with moving and so on. And I'm just going to do like, remember moments and then sprinkle that like stardust on that moment. I fail to see how that is my problem.
yeah, seriously, because I mean, or you could do it like the counselor says and just quietly say it in your head. Is this my responsibility? Reflect on it.
No,
My
I
other half used to
prefer the
say,
other one because it's so I could, I figure myself in that sentence. I fail to see how that is my problem. Wearing a pink tutu, having like a porcelain teacup with a saucer, and then my little finger sticking out, and then with my lips pouted, and like I fail to see how that is my problem.
and then just with the condescending eyes as well, like,
Exactly. That's how I'm figuring myself in a tutu.
I love it. I'm in the tutu. I love it. I love it. But it's so true, though. We tend to. Well, I mean, there's like other people out there that don't, but we definitely do, right? It's like we don't say that to ourselves, even if it's an internal thing. And you have that image. I'm going to have that imagery of you now. Every time somebody's like, "It's not my responsibility," I'll go to. I fail to see how that's my problem with you, with your English cup, your English China cup of tea. I'm going to just put it in there. That's where mine's a finger up. Like the Tudors or something. I don't know, like some
Yeah.
high aristocrat living in the south of England.
Yes. And don't forget the finger sticking out, okay?
Oh
The
no,
little
100%. Yeah, that has to the little pinky. Like mine is tiny, by the way. So I'm just like, just
I
gonna be, yeah,
love it.
yeah, and it's
And
so
it's so
true though.
true.
Yeah, I mean, I take notes, guys, as we're talking, so I remember, and I try not to go off on tangents as I have been known to do on recordings that have not been released, by the way, because we might do a little bit of what is it, a montage one day of like an episode of just montages of where we've kind of messed up, or like,
Yeah.
it'd be so cool, wouldn't it? But yeah, I literally said, so for the people pleasing, and because basically we're coaches, right? Is there any tips for that? Well, there's one there. Have that thought in your head. Am I responsible for that? Or, you know, I fail to see how this is my problem. And imagine yourself, however you want to imagine yourself, saying that sentence out
That is
loud.
that is definitely one thing. And then I was also thinking, how do I feel around this person or around these people? Um, because sometimes you come out of meeting people and you're like, whoa, I feel so empty or my energy's gone. Is it like, are they energy vampires? Are they maybe like
Mhm.
trying to keep you down? Or are they telling you, you know what, you go, you fly, you go for that, you know? So really listen to what people are saying, and just take note of how you feel around them. I think that's like the major thing. Like, I'm thinking now, I spent a lot of time in circles where that would just make me feel small, or I couldn't go for the things that I wanted to go for, or
Mm,
and I now think that the people who are still my friends from like from years back, that like the true friends that are not many, but those are the ones that I always feel like I see them, they see me, they take care of me, they've been there when I've not believed in me, they've believed in me, and that's
yeah.
very important. Sometimes you'll need friends who will be like, I don't know what you're talking about. um and I remember there was a time where I had actually adapted this habit of making fun of myself so that people had something to laugh, because I thought that I was someone you should laugh about. And there was um, this is like 20 years ago, and I was sitting with a friend who I lost contact with, but I've been thinking about her lately, and I made fun of my body, and I was laughing, and I looked at her and she looked at me like no facial reaction. And I was like, "Did you hear what I just said?" And she was like, "Yes, you just made fun of my friend and I don't like that." And I was like, "Wow, that has stuck with me." That is a friend. When you're making fun of yourself or you don't believe in yourself, they'll be like, "No, I'm not going with that. I see
Yes.
something else in you."
Yeah. And it's that, and it's so interesting that because I tend to do that and I do it in work. I've stopped doing it so much because one fella that I worked with a few years ago, and we stayed in contact even when we weren't working together. He had said, Michelle, will you do me a favor? And I was like, oh God, what does he want? What's he going to say to me? He was so easygoing. He was great to work with and so
Mhm.
intelligent. Um, he said, Michelle, stop putting yourself down on calls. You keep saying, and I don't know if you're noticing it, that I would do it better.
Wow.
And he's like, but that's not true. So there are so many things that you do way better than me. So either you big yourself up or don't say anything, but don't
Mhm.
put yourself down. And it's so true. And
Love
I
it.
was like, I don't even know, because I did it in a jokey way, but like
Mhm.
you just said, but then he actually pulled me aside and said, you're doing it quite a lot, and I'm not sure you realize you're doing it. So just in case you don't, here's what's happening. And I really wanted to make you aware of it. I was like, man, when I look back, he's like, he could be a coach.
And it's so interesting because we've went from siblings, when siblings are friends, then we've both talked about what we um like how we understand friendship. And now actually you've just touched upon something that's so important. Are you your best friend? Are you your biggest fan? Are you your biggest cheerleader? Because you need you on your team. And even if everybody on this planet loved you and you didn't, you would be missing out on the biggest friendship that you could ever have, as a human friendship that you could ever have.
That is like an infinity percent, like so true. Like if you can't sit comfortably with yourself I mean, the biggest love of your life should be yourself. And honestly,
Mm,
for anybody out there that isn't feeling that at the minute, and you know what, you will feel it sometimes, and sometimes you might be going through stuff and you don't feel it, and you just feel, and that's perfectly okay as well. Just remind yourself that you are amazing. Be yourself goes back to my lovely famous quote: "Be yourself. Everybody else is taken. You're so new, unique, and you
yes,
have so much to give the world. 100%." Sometimes we need friends just to remind us of that, right? We need that person to go. And I think I wrote down, it goes back to that being, feeling included, feeling like you can open up to somebody as well when you're feeling, I don't feel my best right now. Um,
yes.
I think sometimes women as well, when they are that confident, they almost get put down by society because they are confident and they do love themselves.
Mm,
Um, and I don't think that's right either. So please, if you're a woman listening, just go with it. Who cares? Stop overthinking things. And if you're a woman that doesn't, fair play to you. I want some of that. I want more of what you have.
oh yeah,
And teach me how what do you say to yourself? Because I think a lot of these, especially in coaching, it is, how do you speak to yourself? If I'm speaking negatively to myself, I'm going to feel sad. I'm not going to feel great. I'm not going to be my best friend. My best friend would not speak to me like that. I would not speak to my best friend like that. So why would I speak to myself in a negative, horrible way?
definitely. Wow. That is so true. And yeah, just inviting you to do some research on how you talk to yourself. And would you talk to anybody else like that? Are you your best friend? And I would actually love to, in a next episode, dive into more of what you just said, because I think we can talk to ourselves or do affirmations until we're blue in the face. There's something that has to happen in the heart. There's a shift that needs to happen, and maybe we could explore that in the next episode. But
Yes.
until then, I think we would just leave you with, do some exploring around your relationship to yourself and the circles that you move in. Um,
Mm.
how's that?
Yeah. And next episode, I love that. Let's do that. And maybe we can have a think on how we can even get people to have some little tips and tricks for themselves, obviously
Yeah,
from a coaching perspective, because that's what we're about.
definitely.
And yeah, for
I
sure.
already have something on my mind, so I'm really
Oh, I love
excited.
it. See, she's ahead of the game, people. I love this. Um, so we are going to leave you with two quotes.
Yes.
One, shall I just go for it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Josh Grayson. So true friendship is when two friends can walk in opposite directions yet remain side by side. And then Paulo Coelho, which I've said that wrong, but you're going to correct me. Say it. Again.
Paulo Coelho.
Coelho. Get there. Friendship is, I like this one. Friendship is not, I like the other one too, but I'm drawn to this one. Friendship is not a big thing. It is a million little things.
Yes, that's beautiful. And I think it's actually Paulo Coelho because it's with the O at the end. I'm just thinking,
It is.
any Portuguese natives, we're always open.
Yes, please. And I'm Irish. It tends to come out with a bit of a twang as well. Like so, uh, for sure. By the way, not all Irish people, just me. uh, cool. So, guys, thank you for listening in to another episode,
Thank
Janey
you
Mac,
so much.
and we will see you soon.
See you next episode. Take care. Now, off you go. Do what you do best, which is you.
And Janey Mac the world.